In this video, I'm going to sew the remaining clothing pieces required for the outfit. That is the gray skirt, for lack of a better term, the unseen white linen pants, and for whatever reason, a second pair of sleeves for the inner garment, because of course he has 2 sets of sleeves. Cut out your pants pieces and clip the alignment markers. Since I'm working with linen, and it tends to fray very easily, I serged most of the edges. To make sure I don't accidentally sew the exact leg twice, I always lay things down mirrored. With right sides together, place the corresponding leg pieces together, then sew only the inner seam. Also, this pattern has pockets. Not that I'll be able to access these pockets, but that doesn't change the fact that they has them. Using the alignment markers, pin the pocket to the side of each pant leg piece, and using a 1/4 inch seam allowance, sew the pieces together. Once all 4 are sewn, using the inner leg seam as a guide, right sides together, match the inner pieces together, and sew the semicircle sections together. Once that's sewn, turn the pants so that they more resemble actual pants, but inside out. Using the patterned piece as a guide, I place the pins where the large circles are, indicating where to sew to when sewing the side of the leg. Then sew the side of the leg together. Then sew the pocket pieces together. Since these are pajama pants, that requires an elastic waist, but I'm not following the pattern 100%. Therefore, I got a 3-inch wide soft elastic for comfort. Normally, to sew the elastic, you would just overlap, like so. A little trick I saw on a TV show is to connect the ends nicely was to take a piece of fabric and sew it like this, anchoring it. In this case, it doesn't reduce the extra bulk all that much since I'm using leftover bit of elastic. But the one side, after it's sewn, is very smooth and comfortable. Try this technique with fabric next time you sew an elastic waistband. Using the 4 opposite poles of the elastic, match them up with the main seams of the pants. Then, to sew the elastic, pull the elastic as you sew it onto the pants. Therefore, you'll have no problems with the stretch when wearing it. And the pants are done! Next is the skirt. I just needed a plain, long, A-line skirt, so I used the Simplicity 8363. The front of his skirt is pleated, so I experimented with some fashion lining I bought for it. And it turned out pretty well. I finished sewing the front pieces together and pleated it. Once I completed and hemmed the skirt, I did the same as I did with the linen pants for the elastic. I added some more fabric at the top of the skirt, since this pattern was for a zipper closure and I wanted an elastic top. Lastly, for the shirt, I cut out the puffy sleeves from Butterick pattern 4574. As I had used it before, I knew how large they would be and would be perfect. I placed them in mirror form, so again, I don't sew the same sleeve by accident. I sewed the bottom seam together on both. Something these sleeves don't have are cuffs, as it is bound by elastic, so I had to draft my own. I also interfaced them with a scrap of fusible woven interfacing. Right sides together, sew the 2 ends together and flip. I also serged the raw edge. Using pins, I marked where I want to gather the sleeve fabric between and have a bit of an overlap. In retrospect, I probably should have gathered the sleeve onto the cuff before making it into the sleeve, but hindsight is 20/20, and it still worked, albeit with a bit of a small opening to work with. Next, I opened up the serge stitching so I could fold the exposed raw edge inside and top stitch it. To close it, I'll use a long piece of loop side of Velcro to sew onto the sleeve, and a smaller hook side so it will be easily adjustable. Finally, line up the bottom seam of the new sleeve with the seam of the original sleeve and pin. Similarly, match the top of the sleeve together. There's no way that the sleeve will match up perfectly, so just gather it wherever and however you like until it fits into the available space, and sew it together. Now the clothing is done. Next video will be the cloak, belt, and all the fiddly bits that remain. The shoes are actually slippers from Softlock. They're super comfy.